The mics are unmuted. Folks, welcome to episode 2 of Big Brother, the after show. I'm Milk.
And I'm Bree.
And we'd like to welcome you. We apologize for the old blunder last week. We didn't have sound on my side for 31 whole minutes. You didn't know you were carrying the show all by yourself, did you?
I did not. I
You
did not know that.
On your social media debut here, live on Facebook, you were carrying the show for 31 minutes. Bree was carrying that joint. BT Dubs, you can check out the edited version of the Week 1 recap on Milk and Joe Entertainment via YouTube. That just got uploaded yesterday. So if you missed the Week 1 episode and you don't want to fast forward 31 minutes, check out that episode on Milk and Joe Entertainment at YouTube. So, a weird week this week. We started this on Sunday, so we already knew, coming in who the HOH was. The only thing we didn't know was safety suite, veto, gameplay alliances, and eviction. So,
right.
We knew
I can't
the
wait
HOH.
until they actually start playing the game so we can be like, oh man, we got a juicy one for you this week, but we're not there yet.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm most certainly going to get to it in my notes because I specifically wrote down a spot in the episode where I really, really, really felt like it sucked. And that's because, and maybe this is just because I've been watching too many live feeds. So much more has been going on in that house than has been put on television. I'm glad they're showing us whole HOH competitions, but they could have showed us a little more of what was going on in the house, who was talking to who, because, there was a lot of dialogue that we didn't get to see.
There was a lot that we didn't get to see. I do think that, they do give you the opportunity to go online to, with the CBS All Access to get the live feed.
Except I don't do that. Let me interject because
I already know how you.
Yeah, I just watch them on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube, people upload clips all day long, every day.
Yeah. So
you can stay up to date. This is no shade.
I don't have much time to go watching the live feeds. The show is already on 3 times a week. But
right.
I do appreciate being able to see who the head of household is. I like that.
You like that?
I have to say. Yeah, I do.
I don't know that we'll be able to get that every week, but it is nice to start the season.
These have been quick competitions.
Yeah.
When, we know sometimes the competitions are much, much longer.
True story. So, you ready to get into
week? Yeah.
Week numero dos. We know the HOH is Memphis. We know that coming into episode numero dos of the week, which is the safety suite / veto, we know that there are some people who are, nervous about what Memphis might do, but that's about all we know coming into it. So we get into week 2. Let's see here. The show starts off with a bunch of alliance talk. The first good chunk of the show is consumed by, that banter. You got that big brother banter. You got to get around. You got to get your feelers out there, see who's talking to who, what the plans are. This one kicks off with Danny talking about she doesn't agree with Memphis's approach to speech during noms. Now, if you recall, during nominations, Memphis isn't as nice to David when telling him why he nominates him. And we talked about this. No, I guess, did we talk about this? I don't remember. I think we did.
I think we did. How he basically called him out for being a rookie and said he had to prove himself and whatnot. So.
Yeah. Tyler also mentions, that he's not cool with the approach, calls Memphis old, says that's not the way it's done anymore. I do have to say that I'm not going to say lifelong Big Brother fan, but I've been watching a long time. I did miss a few seasons, but earlier on it was much more cutthroat than it has been the last few years, and so I guess that's what Tyler was referring to. I guess, some folks have been saying that Big Brother's been soft. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with Tyler that the game is just played differently here 22 seasons later?
I think that it is played a little differently, but I think as well as some of the players who are not ready to let that go. Some of the viewers are not as well, because you enjoy a much more cutthroat game than I do.
Yeah.
Because I started watching in the past few years in which the game has kind of changed.
Right.
But you're, from the old school, so you like a cutthroat game. That's why you liked Paul and I hated him.
Yeah. So we move on from those two, kicking off the show, talking about how Memphis is an old man, and that's not how we play the game. Thought it was disrespectful to David. We then break to Kaser and Janelle talking with Memphis about the noms, and Memphis says that Nicole wouldn't use her safety suite, says that's the reason why he put her up, and David's a rookie. That was basically his explanation in terms of why he did what he did. That was that. Anything? You got anything for that?
No, that was it.
That was pretty much that.
And yeah, he was upset that Nicole didn't use her safety suite card. He did mention that Nicole not using her card is the only person that he didn't have an alliance with who hadn't used their card yet.
Do you think it was poor gameplay that he held that against her? He was intentional of trying to get people to waste them, and she, clearly wasn't wasting hers. So she kind of drew a line in the sand in terms of how much she was willing to work with him by saving it. So you think he was justified in saying that, hey, put her on the block, she didn't do what I asked her to do. I told everybody they needed to fight for their life. She didn't fight hard enough?
He was just, I guess, playing it safe this week.
Yeah.
Which, for you to be the one
you're ready for it to get started.
Game, I'm the one who's like, when are they gonna play the game?
Yeah. Well, that's a common theme in the house on the live feeds. A lot of folks are talking about when is the game actually going to start getting played. What I don't think that Kaser and a certain group on that side of the house understands that the game is being played and that they're not in on the decision making process up to this point.
Yeah.
And, that's that. Let's see, moving on in the episode, let's see, I'm going to skip past some of this Janelle conversation because really none of it matters. Let's see, Enzo talks about being a father, which, this is the second or third time. All these folks are old now, so lots of them have families, so we hear a lot of family conversation, a lot of old people. We know that Kaser's got kids. I think even in that episode, Nicole talks about maybe wanting to have kids, or maybe I saw that on a live stream.
No, it was on the episode Nicole and Kevin talked about, or maybe that was on a live stream.
No, that was on the show because Kevin talks about wanting to have kids and do the in vitro.
Yeah.
But doesn't know because it's so expensive whether or not it'd be feasible, and so talks adoption. So we hear a lot of family talk on Big Brother outside of the regular drama. Let's see here. Oh, that was the next on the list, Kevin and his in vitro. Yeah, so Kevin talks about wanting that to be a possibility because who doesn't want a kid that favors them and has their genes and all that good stuff?
Oh, no. What he was saying is that, like, him and his partner, which I think is really cool, that what they would do is, like, both, I don't know how they do this, both use their sperm.
Wait, what?
So that
is it like a race?
Yeah. Basically.
It's like a race. They
wouldn't know who the father, like, they wouldn't know.
This is the wrong show. This is Big Brother, not The Amazing Race. This is two different shows. Two different shows.
No, this is what he was saying on the show.
I must have missed it.
That they would both, have sperm, and then whichever one fertilized the egg, they wouldn't know until the baby was born, which, one was the father.
So, like,
but I thought that's a cool way to do it instead of, like, they don't know, instead of trying to figure out between you and your partner which one to use, like, battle to the death or life rather.
In my mind, all I can hear is like the horns or the music at the Kentucky Derby, like that's all I can hear. And in lane number 1, we've got Kevin swimming mightily upstream. I'm sorry. This is a family-friendly show. I do apologize.
No, but
I'm sorry.
That's a great image. That's a great image. But that is what they talk about doing. Like, I don't know, you know, how that works, but I think it's a great idea. But anywho.
So after our lovely in vitro conversation and family talk, it cuts to Cody and Memphis having a chat up in the HOH room, where Memphis tells Cody that Janelle and Kaser are on to some of their folks in the alliance, but he doesn't want Cody to tell those members because they haven't connected that group to Memphis.
Yeah,
so they only know part of the story, and Memphis doesn't, you know, he's trying to tell Cody as his number one, but tells Cody, hey, don't go tell those people.
Well, what happens is, because I think you kind of moved past it, Janelle goes to Memphis. And
right, my bad.
And tells him that she thinks that Nicole, Danny, Tyler, and Cody are working together.
Right.
And she suggests him backdooring Nicole, the winner, which is F.
F, right. Nicole
saying
F.
that she's the target.
We don't have to
already
say that anymore,
though. And she should be who he is going after.
Right.
So
with that information,
that's when Memphis is aware that she knows of 4 people working together that are in his alliance.
True story. So then cut to Memphis telling Cody that this information that he's learned from Janelle and Kaser. And what does Cody do?
Cody immediately, despite Memphis saying like, yo, keep this on the low.
not like later that day, not the next day, not like
immediately goes
and tells them.
Goes and tells the rest of the alliance that they're on to us and they're wanting to backdoor you, Nicole.
Yeah. Then we get a bunch of talk about Memphis and about him not changing the noms because we find out later, spoiler alert, that Memphis doesn't use the power of veto. But before we get to that, we've got the safety suite competition, which Memphis has told everybody, like we previously stated, that you need to fight for your life. Use your safety suite pass and use it now. And Memphis is doing this purely on strategic standpoint, and the fact that the fewer passes are left, the fewer he has to worry about this week coming up.
Right.
Good strategy. I think we talked about that briefly before, but is that a good strategy for Memphis?
I think it's a good strategy, seeing as how no matter what happens throughout the week, he has a very good opportunity of saving himself next week. The more people, of course, that use their pass.
Right.
You know, the less people that are left to compete, which is the next week is the 3rd and final week.
Yeah.
So that's the last week to use it regardless.
True story. So I didn't take notes, I don't see here, of who actually played in that competition. Do you
in the veto competition? I do.
No, not the veto competition, but the safety suite competition. Oh, yes, I do. Oh no, I don't. Okay, yeah, I don't have who played in the safety suite competition.
We already discussed the safety suite.
I think Nicole A was the only one who didn't play in the safety suite competition this week, right?
Yeah, the safety suite, we discuss that? Because that was in last Thursday.
No, they played that right before the veto competition.
No, I thought that was on Sunday's episode.
No, that was HOH. The safety suite competition happened on Wednesday before the veto competition, so they had 2 comps in one day. And the winner of that competition was actually Christmas, and she chose Ian to be her +1 and join her in safety for the week, and he had to adorn his punishment. Would you like to tell the people what his punishment was?
Well, his punishment was he had to act out a play. Like, he had a script, and he had to, the spacesuit, and whenever
right,
the
it was
director
space.
Sounded,
it was space themed, right? So
it was space themed, you know. And so whenever the director called him to action, he had to perform a scene. Sometimes he had to have a co-star. Sometimes he had to play all the parts. I know they insulted his performance multiple times.
Right.
I remember at one point he was laying on the floor like, why is this my life?
Why is this my life? In my notes, I have that the BB producers are killing this kid. Because, we've seen this in the past, whether it was the season where, I can't remember her name, she had to, cook hot dogs for, 24 hours, and, they were getting her up in the middle of the night, 24 hours a day, she had to cook hot dogs. I think it lasted for a week. So, the punishments typically come, they're not always easy.
Yeah, Janelle said that it was a punishment for the entire house, because I think at one time it was, a middle of the night, but he had to have a co-star, so...
Right. He had to wake somebody up.
to perform with him.
Could that have been you?
Could
could that have been you? Would you have been one of the people who got up to help him?
He have to pick somebody else to star in this play with him, because I am not the one.
You're not going for none of that.
Need my sleep.
Yeah, so he has to adorn the All-Star Wars space costume. And, so... I couldn't do it. It was too much. So then we get the veto competition. We know that the two people on the block. Wait, did we get block? That's what was on Sunday, was nominations. We do know who's on the block. Of course we know who's on the block.
Yeah.
Nicole and David are on the block. We learned that Sunday night. And, of course, Memphis gets to pull first, and he selects Ian at random draw. And then Nicole selects Tyler. I have in my notes that she wanted to pick Kevin because she thought that he would save her, which I think that was probably, at that time, the only person that Nicole thought she had in the house that would have her back. We would come to find out later that wasn't the case. Spoiler alert. And then we have David, who picked Nicole F, a.k.a. Nicole the winner. And in the competition, I don't have much details about what the competition was, and it's actually failing me now. Remind me what the competition was?
The competition was for the, that was the paddles. They had to hold the
yes, it was the endurance competition.
Paddle.
I thought I had that highlighted somewhere in my notes, but
I thought you did.
I thought I did
so
too.
There was a
Oh, I do. Here it is.
It looked like.
Oh, go
tennis
ahead.
Paddles, basically, tennis rackets, and it was two paddles and a middle round part, and they had to balance a ball on it for.
So the last one was standing,
Whoever
right?
kept their ball on the paddle would be victor.
So in Big Brother, we would call this an endurance competition. I labeled it several different things. I labeled it physical endurance coordination challenge because endurance comps are not new to Big Brother. How long can you do something and be the last one standing is nothing new to Big Brother. One of the things that stood out to me was how quickly several of the people went out. And then this challenge didn't go very long at all. I lost track of what the time updates were, but many endurance comps in the past have gone hours before they have a winner. And this one
went... usually there for the HOH. That's what I'm saying. I enjoy that now. We're getting the HOH.
Right.
But I know as the season progresses, I don't anticipate that happening.
Yeah, so they had to balance the ball on the round circular disc. They had the two seemingly tennis racket type poles. And we had... Who went out first?
Nicole A.
Nicole A, surprisingly, who went out first. Going into this competition, everybody was talking big. Before the comp, everybody's talking big. I'm going to win this. One of the things you wanted to bring up was about Tyler. I recall about him specifically wanting to win this going into the comp. Tell the people why.
He specifically wanted to win because he wanted to save David. He had went to Memphis and talked to him about taking out Janelle taking down David and backdooring Janelle.
Yeah, a replacement nomination.
Janelle knows that about their alliance, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, Janelle doesn't know Memphis is in it, so Memphis is basically playing both sides.
Yes.
He doesn't want to Janelle and them to find out that he's in this alliance with them, but he doesn't want them to know that he doesn't want, that
right.
he's
Because Cody went and told Tyler that Janelle and Kaser are aware of them, that's why Cody is saying, hey, either Memphis is playing both sides of the house or, what's going on.
Yeah, so
right, Tyler, my bad.
So he wants to play specifically so he can pull David down and then basically
force
see where
Memphis' hand
is at. Because then he knows if Memphis doesn't put up Janelle, that
something's going on.
Not being loyal to their alliance.
Right, exactly. So Tyler wants to win this specifically to draw a line in the sand for Memphis to make him publicly choose, at least for him and the rest of his alliance members, which side he's actually with. So Nicole A is out first. Nicole F is out second. Bye Nicole squared. And then we got Ian, who seemed to kind of throw it. I remember he just looked so awkward. Yeah, he's like, why am I playing this? I've got safety for the week.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm out. He's gone. And by this point, we're only 16 minutes into the competition. That's what I'm talking about, folks. It goes by quickly. So then David just starts yelling because now this is his idea of throwing the rest of the people off who are still left in the challenge. And so he starts just yelling, and people do not respond the way he thinks they're going to respond, and they just start laughing at him. What did you think about David and his impromptu yelling?
You know who that reminded me of?
Who? Oh, Josh. And the pots and pans.
And stupid pot.
Josh and the pots and pans. See, but you gotta go back farther than that because Evil Dick he started the pots and pans.
I don't know. I don't know who Evil Dick is. See, well, never mind.
Well, once again, no. But back in the day, it was a lot more cutthroat, and they would do anything. They would mess with your mind, anything.
Josh, oh God, he drove me crazy with that.
Well, and Evil Dick, Josh would do it just around the house, but Evil Dick, he would do it in the middle of the night because not only was he trying to mess with you psychologically, he was trying to get you sleep deprived.
Yeah, see, he would have got beat with one of them.
He would have got beat messing with you.
Oh, it slipped out my hand. Just slipped. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. So then we keep the camera on David as this intense competition of ball balancing continues, and David takes his eye off the ball to check on who? Surprise, surprise, Memphis. And as soon as he does,
drops his ball.
He drops his ball. Poor David. He's out of the game.
David.
So both people on the block are no longer in the game.
Yeah.
We're down to Tyler and we're down to Memphis. Two alliance members. We previously stated Tyler really wants to win this one because he wants to make Memphis draw that line in the sand. As the Bible says, choose ye this day. Tyler wants to know who you with.
Yeah.
That's some old Mr. Cooper. Who you with? hanging with Mr. Cooper.
To see exactly where his alliance lays.
Yeah. They both don't play much longer. They do.
It's like right after David goes out, immediately Tyler gets the shaking. I'm like, what happened? He was so steady.
He got the heebie-jeebies. He got the heebie-jeebies. I don't know what was going on with him. But
he immediately started shaking.
Bye-bye, Tyler. Welcome.
Yeah.
HOH winner and veto winner, Memphis.
Yeah. How annoying.
How annoying. Then we cut to more
boring. I just want to say, it's not so much annoying as it is boring. I was really ready for some stuff to
shake up. Because it would have been nice to see Memphis have to make that call.
I was ready to see what he was going to do.
Right. Well, I mean, and we haven't spoiler alerted it yet, but we can now because Memphis doesn't use the veto.
That, like 22 minutes ago, but whatever.
Hey, at least they could hear it this week. That's all I'm saying. Hey, I don't care what I say as long as they can hear me saying it. So Memphis is your HOH. He doesn't use it. Of course, he has alliance members like Tyler who are upset that he didn't use it.
So it's so funny because he says that he is going to, he voted these people up and he's just going to keep it the same. But afterwards, it's like so funny because Janelle is aggravated that he doesn't pull Nicole down and backdoor the other Nicole, and Nicole is aggravated that he doesn't pull David down and backdoor Janelle. Like, Janelle and Nicole are both aggravated that Memphis didn't backdoor the other.
Right.
So it definitely would have created that line in the sand.
Yeah.
Had he had to make that choice. So that's why I was like so aggravated that he just got to like sit back and let the cards fall where they may. I wanted him to get caught.
Right. Well, I want somebody to get caught because the only people who seem to know what's really going on the other side of the house are Janelle and Kaser, but they don't know the whole story. They've only got part of it, and the rest of the so-called floaters at this point, the ones who aren't attached to Cody and Memphis, they're really not trying to play ball, and they're really not buying what Kaser and Janelle are selling. But going into this veto meeting, we got one more appearance from Ian. He had to do what was that, like a death scene? A death scene?
That was right
a grieving
before,
scene?
Yeah.
He had to do a grieving scene over his busted robot.
Yeah.
So he pulled that off. Yeah, he pulled that off. Then we get to the veto, and there were no speeches. Typically we get some speeches for veto because they get to try to convince them why they should use the veto on them. We got no speeches on the veto episode, and Memphis's reasoning, he says he nominated both of them. He's sticking with his decision. He's not ready to draw that line in the sand. Of course, he says that part in the DR, as he doesn't want the rest of the house guests to know that that's where his mind is at. Of course, Danny's not happy about it. Nicole F. Isn't happy that he didn't use it. Doesn't know if she should be sure about working, or she is happy, that he didn't use it, because I think she got word that she might have been a replacement nom, or at least her name had been floated out there. So she is happy that he didn't use it, but not sure if she should work with Memphis moving forward. And I have in my notes that Nicole says she's willing to blow shit up to save her game. I'm not sure if those are the words she used. Knowing Nicole, I'm sure it isn't. But
Probably not.
That's probably not. That's how the veto episode ends, is we get Nicole telling us that she's willing to blow some stuff up. Then that brings us...
Danny, I just want to say, like Danny was saying, a lot of people were commenting on the way Memphis is playing the game so far, that are in his alliance, actually. There were quite a few people that took note that she's after, Janelle is after us and you don't seem to have our back.
Right.
Danny specifically said, called him out saying, well, not to him, of course, but saying, that he wants to call out David for being a rookie, but he's the one playing like a rookie because
right.
He's too soft.
He doesn't want to make the big move, right? He doesn't want to make the big move.
To backdoor Janelle. So she says he's the one playing like a rookie. He needs to get some.
But Memphis also talks about the reason why he's willing to keep Janelle and Kaser around is because they're still bringing him information. And so he can kind of play both sides, even though he's more loyal to his group. He can play both sides as long as they're still bringing him info. They can keep him around for a few weeks. Because we talked about this off air. Everybody has a pecking order in Big Brother, so you kind of strategize when and where folks are going to be leaving and what order they're going to be leaving. And so to get Memphis's game along, he thinks that he should keep him around, and he doesn't use the veto. Let's see. Tonight's show kicks off with Nicole F. and Janelle both criticizing Memphis for not using the veto. Surprise, surprise. That's how the show ended. That's how it began. But they were criticizing him for different reasons. You want to talk about what those reasons were?
Yeah, so they basically were each criticizing that he didn't backdoor the other side.
Yeah.
That's what, they both kind of want to know. And in the end, he's saying that he doesn't want to draw that line in the sand because he doesn't want to make that, it known that he's working with the side yet, or he still wants to keep the door open for Kaser and Janelle. But I think ultimately it kind of hurts his credibility with both sides because now Janelle's like, well, Memphis obviously isn't into working with me because he didn't change the noms. And now he has Danny, Nicole, and Tyler questioning him and his alliance on the other side. Yeah. So I think ultimately it could have hurt more than he thinks that it was going to. Yeah. Like, I don't maybe know if he anticipated it having such a negative fallout, but we'll see where it leads.
I also think that while Memphis hasn't verbalized this, I think that he's thinking that he's not necessarily safe with his group because Kaser and Janelle are aware of at least a portion of it, and if they can connect that back to him, that makes him a target because clearly he's going to be the leader of that group as to who else is going to be the leader of those people that you named. And so he doesn't want to make that connection. He doesn't want to make that connection. And if it blows up in his face, then he can kind of slide in on Kaser and Janelle depending on how he plays it.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Maybe, because Janelle may have just written him off. We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think...
Like, he obviously doesn't want to work with me, so...
Clearly.
So I think he would definitely have to do something. Janelle's played multiple times before, so she's not new to this or stupid. So he definitely would have to do something to prove some sort of loyalty to her for her to trust working with Memphis, I think.
Yeah. Let me see here. I am just remembering as I wanted to make sure that the mics were working. I just recall that we didn't invite anybody to like or share this, and we didn't share it ourselves. So we're gonna take 2.5.
I shared it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm on top of it. Yeah.
I didn't share it at all. I'm not on top of it. It's just something I can't be on top of everything. It's like we're either gonna have sound.
You gotta have sound,
or we're gonna share it. Or I mean, I can't do it all. I'm having technical difficulties. Do you want to jump into the next part while I share that and talk about Davon and Nicole F talking, or not Nicole F but Nicole A, and talking about how she can't vote out David. You want to kick that conversation off?
Okay, so Davon talks. Well, Nicole's trying to save herself, so she goes to talk to Davon, and Davon talks to her, and she tells her that no Black people have ever won Big Brother before, and it's very important for her that a minority makes it to the end. Right. And that she can't, she told herself coming into the house that she was going to, have the other Black people's back. Like, she's not going to vote against them.
Right.
And so she tells Nicole that I really like you as a person. And since I like you, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, I don't, it's nothing personal. I just can't vote against this dude. This Black man. Like, I can't vote against him.
And here's where
Then Nicole says, I hope he has that same feeling about you. Like, I know he wants to make it to the end, too. Hopefully, he's going to have your back the same way.
But she doesn't go into details. She kind of just leaves it at that.
Yeah. But she says, that she feels like Davon's playing with her heart instead of her head, and that, David doesn't have her interest at heart when it comes to the game.
Well, and here's where I have a huge issue with the show this week is that there was so much more conversation that went on about David and the fact that he was on the block and Davon having conflict and really struggling between her gameplay and her morals, like you've just alluded to. There's a meeting between Kaser, Janelle, and Davon. There's meetings between Davon, Memphis, and the crew. There's meetings between Davon, Christmas, Davon, Nicole. When I say that, Big Brother, the house was not quiet this week. They were busy. A lot of paranoia, because that's Big Brother in itself. But there was a lot of conversation about David being on the block, about how Davon felt about it, about how nobody wanted to come across as the person voting out David because he was Black. And as much as we don't want to talk about that, that was part of the conversation this week. And they didn't really touch much on that I mean, just a tidbit. They gave us a little pepper, but they didn't season it too much. So, I mean, and then it gets deeper because Janelle and Kaser are trying to look at it strictly from gameplay, and they're not, understanding Devon's point of view. While they are, they really would hope that she would put her personal feelings aside and play Big Brother. But as they attempt to rally the troops, I mean, they're trying to get Bailey, Devon, Kevin, Nicole A., and they were even trying to pull Christmas in. They're trying to build the other side of the house to combat what we know is already going on and what they only know part of. But those other stragglers who aren't connected to Memphis aren't buying what Kaser and Janelle are selling, along with what we got to see tonight in terms of the relationship between Nicole and Janelle. A lot of the house was feeding Nicole A bad info.
Yeah, they were telling her that they basically, of course, don't want Janelle, so they basically convinced Nicole A that Janelle was manipulating her, and by campaigning for her, it was actually hurting her game.
Yeah.
So Nicole is going around to all the rest of the house telling them, if I stay, I'm going after Kaser and Janelle because they backstabbed me, basically. When in reality, they were the only ones. Even Kevin told her that he felt like Janelle campaigning for her was hurting her game.
Yeah, well, and you know what? I can kind of see where they're coming from in that, because a lot of people are not seeing Janelle and Kaser for who they are now. They're looking at Janelle and Kaser for who they were when they played this game in the past. And so a lot of people are paranoid, and I would go as far to say as fearful of Kaser and Janelle in that game. And that's why the majority of the house, at least Memphis and Cody's side of the house, wants them gone, is because they know that they can play this game, and they want them out. But I mean, they may not get that chance.
I don't know about Memphis yet.
Well, right, Memphis hadn't made up his mind. I say Memphis' side of the house only because Memphis seems to be the clear leader. Although, if it blows up in Memphis' face, Cody could slide in as the leader. Although I don't see Cody as a good strategist.
He's not a good leader.
He's
quick to follow. He's a good follower.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. If Memphis wasn't in that group, who could you see being the real strategist?
I mean, before I did not like him on his season. He seemed like a total, surfer boy. Airhead.
I knew you were going to say Tyler. I knew it.
I'm liking Tyler this year. He's starting to prove himself to me.
Angela's rubbed off on him, yeah.
I mean, he's young, but I think.
Let me find out you looking sideways at Cody.
No, I think he is. He's proven himself to me this year just because he doesn't seem so slow this time. Like last week he's like, of course he wants us to play our sweet because then he's safe. Yeah. And then this week he's like, wait, why aren't you back? You know what I mean? Like, he's catching on to stuff pretty quickly.
Why won't you put Janelle on the block?
Tyler he might have caught on the last time he played.
Oh, he might have. I mean, it's only week 2. He didn't start the season strong as he's got final twos with everybody in the house. But he did pick up on the fact that Memphis didn't do the old backdoor, the switcheroo. So he's definitely questioning.
Picked up on the safety suite thing too, as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's catching on a little faster than some of the other people seem to be. Cody.
Yeah. Before we wrap that up, I don't know how much more you want to talk about the nominations, the decision-making process, in terms of how people came to their conclusions. But one of the things I wanted to point out was that Nicole A. and Janelle did make up in the house, and Nicole A. did come to the realization that she was kind of being played by the other side of the house, and that Janelle and Kaser were working in her best interest, and was very sorry that we got to see something that we don't know we've seen in Big Brother history, which was Janelle crying because she was so torn up about Nicole.
Which, I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, if Nicole would have flipped on me like that, I would have been there. I'd have been like,
Man. Hey, first of all, we know Janelle from the past, and I'm surprised that she kept her cool. Like, I'm surprised she went with the crying emotion over the rage emotion, because old Janelle would have just raged. Like
she has really have liked Nicole for her to have that genuine of a reaction. But let me tell you, I'd have been like, Wait, pack your bags.
Did you just move on the screen?
I did.
Oh, you're good now, I think. There you go. I think you look better on the screen now. We put you back in your place. Hey, don't be trying to crawl around the screen. Don't be trying to move around the screen. So this is the part of the episode that I made my note that it really sucks ass.
Yeah.
Because like I said, up to this point, we were not getting the conversations I was looking to hear on this week's episode. Julie comes back.
You know what, though? We did kind of skip over Davon going to talk to David.
Yeah, we did. And that's important because on the live feeds, I got to hear Davon talk about how David was no good for her game, but that her morals wouldn't let her vote him out. But
she kind of even said that she, you know, after talking to him, he would give her nothing. She was like, "I'm coming."
Well, that's
to
what
you,
I was gonna say.
Why could you not come to me? Like, you know.
That was the conversation. That was the conversation I didn't see, and so that linked that piece for me. So what was she? You know, what does she mean when she says he won't help her game? Well, I mean, what was the man talking in code? Like he wouldn't. She's trying to have a real conversation, and he's like trying to talk in code.
He again shows his rookiness. Like, don't like.
I don't know where my water went.
And she actually even says afterwards, you know, I've only played this game 3 times before, but you know, by all means,
I've only played 3 times.
Experience.
Like he's not on the block. Like he's not on the block.
Like she's like, my good. So he made it very, because she liked Nicole.
Yeah.
He made it very hard for Davon to make her decision on whether she was going to vote for him to stay, because she didn't want to. She said it was going to be a tough week for her, fighting her morals and her brain.
Which to me, it's understandable.
It doesn't help my game at all.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, talking to him, she said, "What did she say?"
Right, she did say something slick though, did she? Yeah, she did say something slick. I can't remember what she. I have something else written down.
But she I remember she put like a C in it, like she frustrating.
Oh yeah, it's so frustrating.
She was like,
so
just trying to have a conversation with him. So
man, David, he's not playing the best game. One of the other things that we didn't get to see in this episode is that when he pitched Janelle on the live feeds, you get to hear Janelle talk about him pitching her in the pantry, you know, where the fridge is and where they get their chips and candy and all that crap. Where they try to speak privately with no one hearing them, but of course everybody hears everything in the Big Brother house. But apparently David pitches her, you know, very strongly, is like pretty much trying to make it seem like that she should vote for him because, you know, he's good for her game, but also trying to tell her that she needs to watch out because... Are you lipping something? You're talking to somebody in the middle of this live. Which one of them came in the room?
I am not.
Well, let me find out you're talking to yourself. I just had to throw myself off because I don't know where I was. But basically, it was a horrible pitch. When Janelle is, you know, conferring with Kaser about what happened, Kaser's like, "That's not how he approached me at all." Like, so I mean, I don't.
Handle me in the pantry.
Kaser's like, I think it really respects me. So I mean, it was clear that David, you know, was not going to get along with Janelle. So that was her target, but they couldn't make that happen. We get the eviction speeches. David is kind to Nicole, which I didn't expect anything less from David. Says he's built with relationships with everyone in the house, but I'm not sure that that's necessarily true.
I found that to be a big lie, or
not enough. He didn't build enough relationships to keep himself off the block or get himself taken down. So
and then he says, except obviously not enough with some to be put on the block. Like, Memphis is not the only person that you haven't formed a relationship with. Like,
right?
Have you talked to anybody except for
anybody?
Kaser?
Well,
at the very first episode, I remember him talking to Kaser. Who does he talk to since then?
Well, Janelle and Kaser.
Tyler.
Yeah, right. But Janelle and Kaser are convinced that David is working with Memphis in that group. But the reality is I don't think he has any relationship with him. And even if they were to try to bring him in, he's the low man on the totem pole. He's next man.
I think the reason why they thought that, though, is because they know that Tyler is in that alliance, and they see him with Tyler. Because Tyler is also another person. You know, Tyler, one thing that he does do is
he runs his mouth.
There's an alliance.
Yeah, here's an alliance.
So, yeah, he has a final two alliance with David as well as Nicole, and who else?
Everybody. That's the problem.
But he does have that. So him and David are friendly, and they talk. So maybe they just see him with Tyler and assume he's with that side.
I guess I could see how they can make that connection. I really didn't look at it like that before, but I definitely see that now that you say that. This is where I'm going to need your help, because I didn't get the whole statement of what Nicole said, but I thought it was epic. She said she wants to play all stars, not all what?
All scared, I thought she said.
All scared. Oh, you filled it in.
I did.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
You filled it in. She wants to play all stars, not all scared, which I thought was epic. I really wanted to see Nicole stay in the house as much as I wanted to root for David. He didn't come prepared to play this game.
So I don't like Nicole. I didn't like Nicole last year. I really didn't like all the crying and stuff this year.
Yeah.
But David, I'm like Davon. David did not help his cause for me
at all.
Like, dude.
He's only there because Memphis and that side of the house thinks that Nicole is working or will work with Janelle and Kaser. And so she had to go because she would be a number for them. But the votes did surprise me the way they panned out. Should we review the votes?
The votes did. Oh, wait, before we go to the votes, though.
Okay.
Nicole also said that it was time for them to start playing the game. The people left in the house, they need to start playing the game.
Right.
Kudos to those who have an alliance, and for those that don't, you better get to making one.
You better get to making one. You better get to making one. I mean, that's real. Now we can go on to votes? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, Tyler was up first. No surprise he voted out Nicole. You weren't surprised by that at all, right? I was expecting that.
Yeah, no. He's first with it.
Enzo was the first one that I have an additional note with. I was surprised that he voted David out. Like, was he...
And when I tell you I forgot about Enzo this episode...
He did not... He didn't...
Enzo!
Enzo did not get no love on this episode. No TV time. No TV time for Enzo.
Meow meow.
The meow meow was meow gone is what he was.
I forgot all about him.
He was...
But yeah, I was surprised that he voted for Dave to evict David.
Right. It says a couple things to me. Either one, he wasn't in on the conversation about the vote, or they didn't care who he voted for, or he's a rogue vote to kind of throw things off. I don't know.
I mean, since they showed absolutely nothing with Enzo this week, I don't even recall seeing him like in really any of the live feeds. So
I didn't see him there either.
Maybe he just did not know. I don't know. We have no idea how that happened because they didn't show Enzo this week. So
yeah,
who knows?
I was surprised. That's all I got for that. It just surprised me. Christmas went with Nicole A. That didn't really surprise me. She did say she was sorry. I don't know why she was sorry, because she's clearly working with Memphis and that group. But she's not an official alliance member And even if she does become one, once again, low man on the totem pole.
Yeah, I think that you know, that she actually believed that, when Nicole had came to her and saying that Janelle and them had backstabbed her and she was going to vote them out, I think
Right.
Chris was kind of feeling sorry for her. So I think that's why she was like, sorry, but yeah, that wasn't going with. Like,
and then we come to Kevin, who we're reminded has final twos with both the noms, which I didn't remember, so thank you, Julie, for reminding us that as Kevin was making his way to the DR to make his vote. And we find out that he votes out David and says that he's loyal to Nicole A. So is that that's his ride or die to the end. Just happens to be, spoiler alert, that end is tonight. That loyalty is over now. You might want to rethink working with David. It might be your only hope of staying in the house. You could be out next. Although they're seeming to warm up to Kevin, so he could float for a while probably. He will never be a threat unless he tries to stir things up. Next we had Janelle. She voted for Nicole, which I have wow next to that, only for the simple fact that Janelle was pulling for her, but maybe Janelle was trying to vote with the house. She didn't want to, create a wave. Or maybe she was upset with Nicole and said, bump it.
Yeah, I wonder what that was as well. But then, I mean, yeah.
I don't
wonder
know
what that was. I wonder it was she trying to vote with the house, or did word get back to her that, Nicole was saying if she stayed, she was coming for her?
Right.
Or, what was that?
Right. Well, after Janelle, we get Davon, who throws out Nicole A. And but throws love her way, does it as nicely and gracefully as she can.
Yeah.
But sticks with her morals and saying that she can't vote this black man out of the house. It will be interesting to see if that remains the case for the rest of the season, or if David will become too much of a liability and have to go. Well, I guess it will come down to whether or not his gameplay improves. He's made it 2 weeks.
1,000%. He's very. Oh God.
He's made it 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks longer than last year.
Just wait to get to the HOA this time. Continue.
Oh, right. Because we've got a bag on him again this episode, don't we? Jeez, I don't want to have to beat David up so bad, but yeah, we do have to get to the HOH comp. Jeez, David, why? Up next was... Oh, man. Up next was Kaser, and he votes out Nicole. That wasn't a surprise for me. I figured he would vote with Janelle. It was a surprise, of course, until I saw Janelle's vote, and then it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
I figured they would vote together.
Same thing. Either is he going with Janelle? Did he get wind that, she was saying stuff about going after them if she stayed? Yeah.
One of the notes I have next to that is that he seemed torn. And a lot of the times I don't know, I have a hard time reading whether or not that's genuine from Kaser. But being that he's alone in the DR casting his vote, I would assume that was genuine. That he really he seemed. Did he seem torn to you? I'll ask that question.
I mean, I think I don't know if he seemed torn, but I think he knew which way the votes were going, and I think at the end of the day, he felt bad for Nicole, because like when Nicole was walking away saying like, hey, I'm just a pawn, I'm expendable, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He was trying to like get her head back in the game and stuff. So
right.
I think that's just another part of.
Well, I don't think.
That's what I'm going to call him, Caring Kaser.
Caring Kaser, good
cares
old.
A lot this season.
That's right, he does care a lot. But I don't think Nicole A. was wrong in the fact that she was just a number to them. While they care for her as a person.
Oh yeah, she definitely was just a vote.
She was just a number.
I thought she was, a loyal person. She was definitely just a number.
That's all she was going to be. She was going to be low man on the totem pole. It was just going to be on Kaser's side instead of Memphis, which she never even really had an opportunity to be on Memphis' side.
Yeah.
And I keep calling it Memphis' side. Up next was Bailey. She voted out Nicole A. No, nothing really to talk about there. Cody, Nicole A. Ian, Nicole A. He brings the puppet in. He's been playing with this thing for several days on the live feeds. And so he decides that he wants to bring his new buddy with him into the DR to cast his vote, so we get to see that on national television. Up next was Nicole F., and she voted out Nicole A. And then the final vote, Nicole Danny voted to eliminate Nicole A. So in a vote of 10-2, Nicole A, adios. You are the second person evicted from the Big Brother house. Please gather your belongings. Say goodbye to your house guests.
It's 10 feet. 10 feet away from me.
Right. Please walk.
Not
Please
10 feet.
please put on your face mask and walk directly to the chair 10 feet away from me.
10 feet
I pulled
from
my
me.
headphone out. That kind of hurt. Ow. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. 10 feet.
I thought it was so funny. And again,
I've got it in my notes.
You're the one out in the world.
Yeah.
I just came from a secluded. I was tested before I went in.
Right.
This 10 feet buffer is for me, not you.
Right. Although you can see that Julie, last week she said, stay over there. We're going to take a socially distant picture. Stay over there. This week she made sure to emphasize.
I will give you a hug, but we can't.
Because you can see Nicole was so broken. We're going to get to that in just a second. Because up next we've got Julie talking to Nicole.
Yeah, Julie be cracking me up.
Right. Julie be cracking me up too.
Oh, and side note, I don't remember her always saying her last name all the time.
She started that last season. I don't know
when her husband got into that trouble.
Yeah,
like,
I was just gonna say, do we want to go there?
Yeah. That's my man. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, she had to, she got to stand by her man. You know what I mean? She got to stand by her man.
Whatever your other last name is, Julie Chen.
Julie Chen Moonves, Bree. Julie Chen Moonves. So Nicole makes her way out onto the stage with no audience, of course, because it's Big Brother quarantine. And the first thing Julie does after welcoming her out was remind her that she went farther in her previous season, because that's what that's what you want to hear.
Further your other season, these people had your back. What was wrong with you?
Oh yeah. Well, sometimes Julie be going in on people when they come out of the house. Like, what were you thinking? Like, did you not see this? But Julie definitely gives Nicole the tea. We don't always get to see that once folks make it to jury because they don't want to spoil the pool. But with this one, Nicole's not making it to jury. Yeah, they go ahead and dish the tea to Nicole. So Julie asks Nicole, "Who do you think is in that alliance that you found out about maybe working against you and Kaser and the rest of the house? And do you have in your notes who she thought they were?"
Yeah, I have Tyler, Cody, Nicole. I missed the name she said, and then Enzo because I got distracted.
It was just 4. It was just Tyler, Cody, Nicole F, and Enzo is who she thought was in the alliance. Which she wasn't too far off.
She wasn't, except for Enzo. And then Julie tells her that, Enzo was actually
the one
to keep you.
He voted to keep you, right?
He voted to keep you.
Well, because I thought Enzo was tight in with that group, but apparently Enzo's really only tight with maybe Cody. I don't know who Enzo's with. Week 1, it seemed like he was. It seemed like he was closer to Memphis and Cody than this week has played out.
It definitely seemed like he was close to Cody last week.
Yeah.
But this week, again, they didn't show him much. I guess he's just kind of floating on the outside.
He probably didn't want to create no waves.
Yeah, he maybe was in the background and just was like, let me stay here.
Yeah, I assume he played a role that I would have probably wanted to play, which was stay in the background, do some observation, let them kill each other, and then see where the cards fall before I say anything.
But I wonder what's going to come of him being the one to vote for...
Well, they're automatically going to assume that it was Janelle and Kaser.
Well, I don't know because they probably know Kevin voted for her.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So there may be speculation of...
Well, and we see that a lot in Big Brother where they go, okay, who were the votes? And they want to figure it out because it means a lot to them. And because trust is a big thing and paranoia is a big thing. And so...
But of course, because he was in the background, he never really has to admit it.
Yeah, he'll never have to admit it. Never. So then she reveals who was in the group. Of course, Nicole finds out who the rest of the members were, which is Memphis and Danny. Is that right?
Memphis, Danny, and Christmas.
And Christmas, right. So then we get to the goodbye messages. I didn't take many notes here. Davon says it's not personal, and she hopes she can understand. That was the only one that I really took note of. Whoever was last, Kevin. I think Kevin was the last one to say something. It doesn't really matter what order he went in, but he was the only one that seemed kind of not as genuine when he was the one saying that he was going to be, the ride or die with her. He didn't really.
No, he said, "I'll see you soon." And
yeah, but
like,
it was his speech pattern though. It was like, and I know I do that sometimes where it's like a dot 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 dot, but his speech pattern seemed like he was either searching for words or he wasn't genuine with what he was saying. So I don't know. It came across weird to me, but I overanalyze things sometimes.
No, I thought it. Well, the only thing I took away from it is the way he said, "I'll see you soon." I was like, did he not plan to make it too much further? Like, he gonna be out next week and stuff?
Right. Do you want to play this game? Do you want to play this game?
He was like, I was already up on the block week 1. I might be gone next week. Who knows? I'll see you tomorrow, girl.
Well, before we wrap up this episode, we've got to talk about the HOH competition.
Yes.
Which happened tonight, which I didn't catch the name of the HOH comp. Maybe you did. But essentially, it was a skilled competition where each person got 3 beer mugs, and there were 3 different playing surfaces to slide your beer mug on to see what score you could accumulate, and the highest score would be the new HOH. The person who got the highest score in the fastest amount of time. And yesterday it said that they got to practice, so that they didn't come in cold on this one. They were familiar with the comp before they came out.
I think part of that was so that it could go smoothly, so that they could get it done for this episode.
Did it go smoothly though? Let's not get there yet. Let's wait till his turn.
I feel like, well, except for 3 people still didn't know to turn around when they were supposed to. But
right. Janelle did have that problem as well, I guess. I didn't.
Janelle, I think Kaser, somebody else.
Oh, did Kaser as well? Okay.
I think, and David.
Yeah. So there were numbers on the playing surface, and you slid the mug. The farther you slid the mug, the higher your score was going to be. I think the top score was 5 at the end of the table. It went 1 to 5. If your mug fell off the end of the table, that's a 0. You get 3 chances to score. The combined score and the fastest time is HOH. Cody is first. He scores a 4, becomes the HOH. Enzo then scores 8 behind him. Then we get to our favorite player, David, who has to be told to turn around and has a big hiccup at the end of his turn. He scores a 6, doesn't do great at all, but after he scores a 6, he has to be reminded to hit the button to lock in his time.
Right.
Like, what kind of rookie mistake is that?
Yesterday, you didn't remember that you're supposed to face this way. You didn't remember to press the timer. You're playing like a rookie, David. Like
I hate
let me like you. Help me.
Help me like you.
Help me.
Well, and he's so cocky and arrogant for somebody who's not good at the game.
Like, I just can't stand him.
Does the passion come through in my voice? I feel like it does. Oh, man, where was I? So, David, he's no good. At this point, Enzo is still in the lead with 8. Up next is Christmas, who ties a score of 8, but doesn't get it in a faster time than Enzo. So, she's out of there. Enzo's still standing on the podium. Davon squeaks in a 7. I do have in my note that she had some weak pushes. I guess we don't really need to get into that, but I felt like she could have tried a little harder for somebody who doesn't really have safety in the house. Maybe she thinks she does, but she's definitely on the outs when it comes to the numbers. Thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, she just didn't play well at all.
She didn't play well. She didn't do well.
At all.
Kevin, for Kevin, I've got too hard, too soft, just right, LOL, 7 points. Because on his first push, it was way too hard. The mug falls off the end. The second one, too soft, doesn't score high enough. And the third one is just right, but by that time, not enough points left on the board to beat that 8, so he's out of there. Anything about Kevin you want to throw in there?
Yeah, no, it was
I summed that up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very Goldilocks like.
Right, yeah. It was Goldilocks. It was too hard. It was too soft. It was just right. It was, good old Kevin. It had to be Goldilocks with Kevin, right? That just coincidence? I think not. I don't know either. Ian is up next. And I found myself cheering for Ian because he was, I'm at the crib talking about, let's go, Ian!
Yes, you said he would only be good at mental comps, and this was somewhat of a,
I mean, it's a skill competition.
It was probably more physics. It was probably physics. That's why he could,
inertia and all this. And, downward force, and all this business.
Exactly.
Like we know anything about
How much
science.
force will it take for this to... Got to calculate the gravity pull and everything.
Yeah. I mean, he had 3 good pushes. He locks in a great score of 10, and he's the new person on the podium. And we've got a few people left to see if Ian can hold on to that spot. Up next is Nicole F. She locks in a score of 9, which I said is good, but not good enough. She definitely came to play, though. Danny, I said it was close, but I didn't have her score written down. What was her score?
I don't think it was close. Didn't Danny pull...
I put the ... so I don't know.
I think she got a 4 on the first one, and I think the second 2, she pushed off the table.
Oh, okay.
I think they went too far.
Well, maybe that's what I meant by the close ... because the first one she did okay, and then I missed the rest of her turn.
The table, but then they slid off.
Yeah, so whatever she scored, it wasn't enough. She's no good. Ian's still on the podium. Tyler's up next. And he locks in a score of 12. Originally, we thought it was 11, but Ian seemed to know what the score was immediately because he just stepped right on down. And as Cody's trying to figure out if he scored enough, Ian's like,
I am at science. I am also good at math.
I'm also good at math. So Ian steps down. Tyler finally figures out he's got enough. He steps up on that podium. At this point, we've got 3 people left. We've got Bailey, Janelle, and Kaser. And to tell you the truth, I'm really hoping for that Janelle and Kaser can pull this off just because I want to see what the house is like when the power...
the other side gets...
Right, when the balance of power is shifted. And so I really want to see what that's like and what they'll do with it because unlike the popular opinion that's in the house, Janelle and Kaser, to me, seem to be playing as pretty decent people. They don't seem to be coming across as that to the other house guests, but I want to see what they're like with the power to see if they revert back to that cutthroat and...
Caring Kaser stays caring.
Yeah, I mean, all of that and then some.
He lives up to the nickname.
What's that?
If he lives up to his nickname, continue.
Oh, right, yeah.
Caring Kaser.
Man, right. Is he going to be caring or is he going to be like cutthroat? Caring or Cutthroat Kaser? I'm looking for Cutthroat Kaser. I hope we can find them eventually. So Bailey's up next. She gets a 7. Not enough. Janelle actually does really good in this competition. I found myself cheering for her again as well as she was putting up a score of 11. She was so close. So close.
Because she had a faster time than Tyler and everything. If she would have just got one more point. Because she had a faster time, she would have won.
Yeah. So I was disappointed by that. Then our final player of this competition is Kaser. So once again, he did the same thing as that was Kevin with the too hard, too soft. He kind of had the same problem in my notes. I've got that.
Not even. I think the first one he did pretty good, right? Or was it the second one?
No,
was it the first one that he pushed off?
I put it was too hard, just right, too hard. So he went off the table on the first one. He scored well on the second one.
He went off the table on the first one, and then he basically gave up. Like, you could tell he just didn't care because he knew he couldn't win.
Right.
So
he went...
He was just like... Which I don't like. Like, even if you know you can't win, I like to see you try.
Right. Give it what you got. And I didn't even think about it from that perspective, but you're right. Once he went off the table...
you could totally see it, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, because he could only score 10.
it kind of says... It just says a little bit about your character to me.
Right.
So... I made a mental note of that.
Yeah. So the last note I have for this episode is our brand new HOH is Tyler. which means that the
Yes.
power is still on that side of the house. However, Tyler will be calling the shots. It'll be interesting to see who he nominates. It'll be interesting to see what his relationship is like with Memphis this week. How much he allows Memphis to affect.
I'm sure Memphis will definitely be playing the safety suite this week.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's the last week to play, but he will be playing this week.
And I know he'll be playing it.
Yeah, no surprises.
Is he going to need that safety? Like,
that's the question.
He's on Tyler's radar
He's
a
sniffing.
little bit.
What'd you
I'm
say?
super interested to see who Tyler's going to put up.
Speculations.
You keep saying it's week 2 and it's, but my thing is it's all-stars. It's not week 2 with new people. We've all played this game before. When are you going to start playing the game this season?
Right.
So I want to see Tyler make some moves. I mean, he's obviously got it in good with David. He's obviously in good with Nicole. And, I have a feeling he's probably going to put up Janelle or Kaser, if not both of them.
Yeah.
If he didn't put both of them up, I don't know who he would put up as the other, you know what I mean?
Right,
with them. I think it's going to be Janelle and Kaser, unless he does something crazy and puts up Memphis. I would like it, but he won't.
He won't do that. He won't do that. A quick shout out, just looking at the comments here. I don't know if you got comments on your side, but Cullen's in the house says milk LOL. I think this is from earlier on. I definitely see Brandon in here. He said amazing race LOL, you stupid. If you didn't catch that comment, you'll have to watch the beginning of the episode to see what that reference was all about. Yeah. To see what that reference was all about. But yeah, LOL on that one. Thanks, Cullen. Thanks, Brandon, for watching. Anything else you want to talk about before we get off here?
Excited to see. I hope we get some real gameplay going this week.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see who his picks are going to be. If it is Janelle or Kaser, I hope one of them can save. Like I don't know. They can't play the safety suite. I really wish they would have talked about that more the first week. I really wish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll just.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. We've got to wait till Sunday when we get nominations. We will not be back on Sunday. I know our first episode aired on Sunday. You see episode 2 is aired on Thursday night, live after eviction. That's when we'll be back again, is next Thursday, 8:15 Central Standard Time, following the airing of the Big Brother episode that includes the eviction and HOH competition. We will be recapping week 3 next week at 8:15. I appreciate you, Bree, for hanging out with me and really agreeing to participate in this show. I'm enjoying it so far. Hopefully it gets better as we go. But I think you add a lot, and I appreciate you for participating. And hopefully the folks out there enjoy what you've got to say about Big Brother. If people are watching Big Brother. I hope people are watching Big Brother.
People need to start watching Big Brother. I was just thinking about it. I mean, this is 22 seasons. So this started before the 2000s? Like, this was...
Yeah.
This started back in the 90s, guys.
If you go back, you should go back and watch season 1, and you would say, what is this? Because the game...
You know what? I wonder... I should. Because I wonder if it was set up in the... like it was more like the book. Like, I had to read the book in high school, and we had to play something like Big Brother in our English class.
Okay.
We had all these rules. We had to wear hats. We had to wear this thing. We were able to, like, tell on each other and spy on each other. Like,
Lord have mercy.
You know what I mean? It was real cutthroat, and our game was based on, if people reported us for something, you would get points taken off. Like, there was no rebuttal. Like, I didn't do it. Like, no.
Look, I did not sign up to play this at school. I did not sign up for this.
The only way to get your points back up was for you to tell on other people.
Oh.
So, like, you in the hallway, you see somebody talking to somebody they not supposed to, you going back and slipping a note in the box. Like, I mean, it was real cutthroat, but I got named.
I was going to say, I think that the administration was really just trying to encourage snitching. That's all. They was just, please tell it all. They was just...
For this one class, and it wasn't even about snitching about anything. it was like certain, we had to wear certain like buttons and certain things. And a
Oh.
lot of times people be like, what does that mean? And if you told them and somebody heard you, they could tell on you. Like it was a secret. You weren't supposed to tell.
So it was like
So
rules to being in the club, and if you broke the rules, then you could be penalized.
But if people caught you breaking the rules in the hallway or the lunchroom, like, you know, in gym class, in some class, other than our English class,
right.
you could drop a note in the box, and that's how you got your grade up.
I can dig it. I don't know that I would have enjoyed that, but it seems like...
It was actually a lot of fun.
Seems like you had a lot of fun with it.
WBHS, Bonzi Valley.
Are we shouting out high schools right now? East St. Louis Senior High School in the building, baby. 618 all day. Home of the Flyers, you already know. City of Champions in the building.
Oh, goodness. Here
What I sound like, Jay-Z? City of Champions in the building. But we really do appreciate you watching. Until next time, make sure you're watching Big Brother. Catch us next Thursday, 8:15 Central Standard Time. I'm Milk.
And I'm Bree.
Thanks for watching.
Not waiting for Phil this time.
You didn't forget. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye, guys.